guys, what's up? Admin Sheep here with another behind the scenes episode. Now, I know I said last time we were going over the quest books, but once I sat down and actually tried to record this, there was just way too much story and lore to include in one episode. So we're going to end up doing Dorian's storage today. Now, this is Dorian's DS system. Yes, it is a play on the ME system mod, which I believe is called Applied Energistics in Java. I really wanted to make an ME system in Bedrock, but I just don't know enough coding to mod it into the game just quite yet. But it is something I'm working on for the future. So essentially what I've made here is a TP GUI. If you're not familiar with GUI, I believe it stands for Graphical User Interface. It's basically what Windows is on Windows. It helps the user use the system without having to know any code. Now the way this is set up is he has 9 drives. Each drive has 27 barrels. Each barrel has 27 shulkers, which gives him a lot of storage. Now, even knowing all the commands that I do know and all the command block tricks that I do know, I couldn't feasibly think of a way to auto-sort his items into the system, but I wanted to make that an option. Essentially, I gave him a room where he could just dump all of his items into a chest hopper system and walk away and forget about them. And then the next cycle, they would be sorted into his system like it was an auto-sorting system. Unfortunately, as I said, there's no real way to do this with commands. So every cycle, I go in and I pick up all his items from where he dumped them, and I sort them into the system myself manually. So essentially, I am the auto-sorting system. As you'll notice, I have sped this up. It took me a little over an hour to sort just the stuff that he had from this last cycle. He does a lot of repeatable quests and things like that and gathers a lot of items, so this does take quite a bit of time. Again, one of the reasons I do this task last. It is a little daunting, but I think it's really neat. My goal in CC is to give the players the best, smoothest, semi-modded experience possible. So, at the end of the day, this is totally worth the time that was invested. Now, the way the system works is there are 10 different rooms in total. Each room identical to the last, for the most part. They all have navigation along the floor. You can see those buttons in passing through this time lapse. And each one will lead to a different segment or section. These segments or sections are labeled by custom map art that I did. If you're not familiar with custom map art, let me know down in the comments and I can do a video on it. Otherwise, as you can tell, they're all labeled. We have farming, we have tools, weapons, and armor, we have blocks, we have enchanting, we have brewing, we have storyline, we have other, which is like the valuable stuff, diamonds, emeralds, that sort of thing. So there are 9 total sections and then a 10th for the actual storage portion. There's a 10th room that will just take him to an area where he can dump all of his items. Actually, come to think of it, there are 11 rooms in total. The first room that he enters is essentially his desktop, and that's where he can add modifiers and things like that onto his system. Currently, as far as I know, in his desktop room, essentially is what it is, he has a cobble gen, an obsidian gen, a trash can. I think that's it. I think that's all the available things that you can add to your, quote, desktop in the DE system, or DS system. Oh, and an anvil that never breaks, which is also pretty helpful. Now, originally, as you can see here, I did try to make the DS system with a chest GUI, but I think it was around, does it look like drive 8? it kept crashing the server. There really wasn't a whole lot I could do about that, and it's such a shame because I put so much work into making this system do what it was supposed to do. There's a lot of commands here, and I double, quadruple check them all again and again and again, and the server couldn't handle it. I even have the server hosted externally somewhere else, thinking that maybe it was just a Realms issue, but as you can see, it was not a Realms issue. It's just too many commands at once. So, since that didn't work out, we have the DS system as we know it now. It's a TP GUI. That's what I like to call it because essentially it just teleports you to different sections depending on which button you push. It's a relatively simple concept, but it allows the players to have a lot of storage and not have to travel a long way to get to all of it. So I think it works. For what I had to work with, I think it's a half decent idea. Well, I think I have covered the DS system in its entirety and the part of behind the scenes where I need to do Dorian storage. The other players, one other player has a DS system, but it's much smaller. So I don't really need to highlight that here because it just doesn't take that long to sort. But I think that's going to about do it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you have any questions about the DS system, leave them down in the comments below. I do my very best to get back to people as soon as possible. But thank you so much for watching. You guys stay tuned and stay crafty. Bye!